Good afternoon, student. So today we'll discuss about the different. First of all, I will discuss some programs, and further we'll discuss on different types of use of read function that already we have discussed in earlier classes. We know that whenever we will work in a file, there are basically two functions are there. One is read function, another is write function. So the mechanism is of these two functions quite different from one another. So how it works, basically read means when we want to read any content from any file, and write means when we want to write anything into a file. These are the difference between this read and write function. So today first I will take some examples, and based on that examples I will demonstrate some program, and furthermore we'll discuss on the write function. So here we are starting. So my very first program is here, reading the entire content of a file. So as you know, first we have to take the file object, through which file handling object, through which simply we can we can input, or we can just open any file. So fo equals to open, then within bracket simply we'll take the file name, and then obviously you can either mention R mode, or by default it is of R mode. R mode means reading mode. So after this, next we have to just fetch the element of the file. So st equals to fo dot read. Through this, what will happen? The element of this read function will be fetched into the variable st. Just a second, some network issue is coming, I think. So if any network issue is there, just immediately send me in the WhatsApp. So here is our first program, reading the entire content of the file. First we will open the file. How to open the file? Fo equals to open, then we'll open the file in the read mode. After opening the file, when we'll fetch the file, we can just simply write st equals to fo dot read. So what will happen? The entire content, whatever is stored in the file, that will be fetched inside the variable st. It is a string variable, and after that we'll just simply print the st. And then don't forget to use this line fo dot close. Close means whenever we are opening the file, at last we have to close the file. This is means how we can go for, or how we can read the entire content. Again I am telling, the reading means you are just fetching the content of a file that is saved in the hard disk or any physical storage area. So from there we are just reading the file content, and it will be printed on the shell window. Next I am going for the second program, that is reading first three lines. For example, if we have one poem, just like I have taken the example yesterday also, just suppose we have different lines, multiple lines of poem is stored in a file. Now I want to take, or I want to display the very first three lines of the poem. So in that case we have the function reading first three lines. Since we can use read line function, this is not read lines, this is read line. It has difference with the read lines. Yesterday we have explained the difference between read lines and read line. Read line is to read only one line at a time. So when st1 is there, we are using st1. So fo dot read line. So what will happen? It will fetch the very first line. For example, I am just taking one one text, like it is stored like ABC, XYZ, PQR. These are the three lines: ABC, then XYZ, then PQR. So by this code st1 equals to fo dot read line, this ABC will only be fetched, and ABC will be stored in the st1 as a string. Then when I will fetch this read line 2, that is for second line, So what will happen, the cursor will simply come down to the next line. Cursor will come down to the next line. So in the next line it is stored xyz. So this xyz will be stored in the variable st2. Then I will go for the third line. So when I will go for the third line, again in st3 the variable will store the value in st3. So that means in the third line it will store the value pqr. It will store the value pqr. So and finally we have to print all the three lines. We have to print all the three lines. Print st1, then we have to print st2, then print st3. These three lines one by one we have to simply print. So that what will happen, the first ABC will be printed, then XYZ will be printed, then PQR. If it has more lines, since we have fetched only three lines, only first three lines will be displayed here. This is the way how we can print first three lines of any code. So now next we'll see another one. This is quite very good example in terms of file handling. So already we have discussed so far that whenever we'll fetch any file, it will be fetched per character simply as per bytes. So just like if your file, if we have one file and it has the value ABC space CDE. So each of these character, including this space or any special character is there, each will take 1 byte of space. It will take 1 byte of space. Now if I want to find how much byte is been captured or what is the size of the file that we have fetched or we have printed, so we can go for we can do this in this way. So in the normal way, whenever any operation we have to do, obviously we have to open the file, but here one question will be asked that what should be the mode, read mode or write mode or any other mode. So what will be the answer, read mode or write mode? Can anybody suggest me the answer? Just what will be the mode for this one, that whenever we are fetching the file size, we want to display the file size and we are opening the file. For any file handling, you know that we have to open the file, then what should be the file size, or sorry, what should be the file operating mode, read mode or write mode? So basically for this operation the appropriate mode will be the read mode. What will be the problem in the write mode? That already we have discussed so far, that whenever we will open any file in the write mode, if the file exists, for example if it is exist in the memory a.txt, so whatever data is present in the A file, it will be erased, that means truncated, it will be truncated. So there will be one problem. So that's why it will be better to open any file whenever we want to fetch the memory or any data, that time we can open it as a read mode. Now when we have opened the file as read mode, next what we have to do, I want to find the size of complete file, whatever data is stored in your file. So simply I will write here st equals to f4.read. Whenever I will write this line, so complete data will be stored in this st string variable, and after that I want to find the length of I want to find the byte captured by that file. So simply I am taking one variable size, any variable you can take, s, y, p, q, r, s, t, whatever variable name, and then you can use this function, len function. This function is very common to us in earlier the chapters, list, dictionary or any other chapter, tuple also, in string handling also we have used the len function. How len work actually, if we write len of any string value, for example if I write here ABC under double quotes, len of ABC, the answer will be 3. So that means it will simply return you the number of bytes or number of characters that is stored in the string. And this is the concept of this len function. So when we will store the file in len, we will find the size in len. So size equals to len of st. Then we will print the size. So what will happen? The complete size of the file will be shown. That means the number of bytes. Now this was the discussion on few examples on the read function. So there are more examples are there. We'll discuss one by one. But before that, Today, as I told, we'll discuss on the another function, another important function, that is write function. But before going for write function, let me recall few concept of it, this write method. So we know that whenever we will work on a file, first we have to open the file. So we know that when we will open the file, we have to mention the file path or file name if it is stored in the Python file only. Now after that we have to write the mode. Now we know for writing purpose we will use the W mode. Now my question is here, what is the meaning of writing into the file? You have to concentrate on the point, writing into the file. What is the meaning of this point? Writing into the file means, for example, suppose this is your computer and it has some physical storage part, and here is our keyboard. And when we will type some data, this data will first go to the Python console or simply Python execution. Then it will be stored in a file. Where if suppose you are typing A, so it will first come to this Python program and program will write the data into that A. This what happens when we simply use MS Word or any type of word processor software. When we are typing the file or when we are typing the data, that time the data will be stored in a file. And later on we can save the file. After that, after completion of our work, we can save it for future purpose. So like the same, when we want to open the file to writing purpose, this means that you want to add some content into the file. But when we'll use the writing mode, we have to first remember one point. If your file exists with some data, if your file, for example, I want to open a file a.txt, and already suppose it has some characters ABC, for example. So if you are opening the file with this only W, so what will happen? This whole content will be erased. It will be truncated. That means data will be lost. So for this data loss cases, we have different modes also. We'll come to that part also. But you have to remember, either the file should be empty or you are creating a new file. If it is not there, if the file does not exist, by this W mode, the computer or the Python will automatically create one new file with that name. Suppose, for example, here I am just taking one xyz name file, xyz.txt, but for example it is not present in our memory, physical memory. So what will happen? This xyz named one file will be created, simple text file will be created, and then further whatever we will write, it will go into that file. So let's see, let's come to the program now. Now my first program is there to demonstrate the write function, that write the name of your school in a file, that is a.txt. So you can see simply first I have taken one file object, that is fo equals to open a.txt. A.txt is my file name, and then comma W mode I be used, that is writing mode or write mode. Then when I use the write mode, first I am storing my desired things that I want to write on my file, that is st equals to ANPS. This is my particular character, st equals to ANPS. Then when I am storing this ANPS word or character, whatever, then what I will do, I will simply use the write method, fo.write, within bracket I will write st. So if you see the difference with read, I can write the read function also. If I want to read anything, that time we were writing like this, st equals to fo.read. So that time what was happening? That from the file whatever content is there, it will come to your variable st. Now just opposite to it is happening. Here we are not storing anything in a variable, we are just sending one value to the file, that is fo my file handling object. Within that object I am passing the write method, I am using the write method of file handling, and within this write method I am passing the particular value that I want to add into my file. So fo.write, what will happen? This ANPS will go into this file object. File object is actually handling this file a.txt, and ultimately after doing the operation you can simply close. But question will be asked that this is the writing of file. So how we can prove that yes, the file is been written here? So obviously that is genuine question. So for that purpose, what you have to do, when you are opening the file for writing purpose and you have completed the writing, I guess so writing is part is clear. Before closing the file, again you can add one line that FO equals to or FO1 equals to open. Then again you suppose open the file in read mode. Why read mode? Because I want to check whether the actual content is been written into the file or not. So that is my motto. So that's why again I am opening the file in read mode. So when I am opening the file in the read mode, so what I can do, again I can just fetch the content of the file, that is fo1.read, and after that we can simply print the file, so or print the content. So if it is showing the same ANPS word, for example this is my example one, since I have stored the ANPS at first. So if it is showing the ANPS, so obviously we can say the file is writing, or we are writing into the file. And whatever work you are doing, don't forget, again I am repeating, that fo.close should be added at the end of the line. Why? Because whatever purpose you are using the file, at last you have to just close the file. This is normal program methodology. This is the proper way of doing program. So just for understanding, just I am recalling the concept again. We are discussing here the write function. When we are using the write function, we'll mention the write particularly W mode, writing mode. And what is the meaning of write mode? If we are opening a file in the write mode, if file is present in the memory and it does not contain any data, that is there is no harm. But if it contains some data, so it will be truncated. Means when we are using W file, it will simply write into an empty file. After that, again next point, here I am just storing the value which I want to store into that file. Then I am just passing the file, that is fo.write, and this is my content that I want to write into the file. And finally, after writing the file, I want to check whether the file is actually written with some data or not. So for that purpose, again I am just opening the file a.txt. Don't understand in this way that one time you are opening the file in any mode and it will be used for any other purpose. No, absolutely not. Whenever we are working in a file, we have to mention the mode. Since here you are opening the file for writing mode, so it can only be read. When you are opening the file for read mode, it can only be read purpose, not write. So in this way it actually works. So this was the one example of writing files. And there is I have taken another example, so let's see how it works. But here question is quite different. Question is like, store 10 names in a file student.txt. Means my file name or my program will contain some file student.txt. In that file I want to store 10 names. So let's see how we can go for. So we know very well that whenever we are working in a file, we have to open the file. So opening the file, and here because I want to write 10 names, so I will open the file in write mode, student.txt, W. I am opening the file in the write mode. After opening the file, now you want to store 10 names. So for easier purpose, just I am taking one loop for I in range, then within bracket I am just taking here one variable just like 1, 11. So what will happen, this loop will run for 10 times, 1 to 11 minus 1, that is 10. Now one by one I will input some name. So name equals to, here I will input the name from user, input, enter a name. So in this name variable the name will be entered. Now I want to add this name into this file student.txt. So then and there what I will write, I have the file handling object, that is fo, and fo dot I will write fo dot write, within that I will write name, fo dot write, within that I will write name. But here I am going to add one interesting line, fo dot write, then I am adding one new things, that is backslash n. All of you know the meaning of backslash n. Backslash n means for new line character. By this two line you can easily understand when I am adding one line. So after that I want to come down to the next line. In a general physical way we do this by giving enter button or hitting enter button, but that I can't do in the program, so that's why we are just using this \n character. So what will happen, after adding each name, it will come down to the next line. So after doing this complete task, at last we have to simply close the file. Fo.close. So what will happen, the complete file will be closed. So that means my 10 data will be entered and it will be stored in this file. So let's see how it works. Let's try to do a dry run on it. So first of all, I have opened the file. Now it is running the loop. For the first time it is asking the name. So name, suppose for example I have added A. So what will happen, the student file is there. This is for example student file. The A will be added, and then and there one \n is there, so \n will be added. That means cursor will come down to next line. Then for the second time, when it will ask for the second name B for example, so here the B will be written, and again it will add the \n, that means cursor will come down to the next line. Then it will ask for the third name, then C will be added, then will be added here, and then it will come down to the next line. So in this way it will add 10 names. Later part, if we want to read the content of the file, so again we have to open the file fo.read. First of all we have to open the file in a open mode. fo1 equals to open within bracket student.txt comma r mode. Then we will simply write fo1.read. Whole content will be read. Then the content will be displayed through this st variable, print st. So this was the class on the writing and reading the file content. Reading a few examples we have given, and after that we have explained the right concept of file handling, Python file handling. If further more issues are there, obviously you can ask question on the Google Classroom. Thank you student for the class. Good day.